Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews. I'm your host, Matt Spease, and today we are looking at Curse of the Undead, released in 1959. Curse of the Undead stars Eric Fleming, Michael Pate, Kathleen Crowley, John Hoyt, Bruce Gordon, Edward Dens, Jimmy Murphy, Helen Kleeb, and J. Adler. Curse of the Undead is directed by Edward Dein. Now, I could not find any pictures of Edward Dein for some reason. I don't understand why that is. I mean, this guy directed quite a few films and several television series as well, and was a writer on several films and television shows. With Curse of the Undead, Edward Dein wrote this one with his wife, Mildred, and they did it sort of as a joke. They came up with the idea as sort of a joke. The whole vampire in the West. And one of the producers at Universal was like, yeah, well, this is not a joke to me. I like the idea. Let's do this. and that's how it happened. It started off just a joke idea with Edward and Mildred Dein and ended up becoming this really cool, unique Western vampire hybrid. And when you take those two things and you put them together, you wouldn't think that they would go good together. And it's only been done a few times since this film. Certain ones of note are Billy the Kid versus Dracula from 1966, which was more of a campy take on it than what this is. And then there was, of course, more recent years, there was From Dusk Till Dawn 3, The Hangman's Daughter from 2000. But this film, to me, is the only one that got it right. I mean, it takes that aspect of a Western mixed with a vampire film and does an excellent job. It is still a great Western, and it is still a great vampire film. They did such a good job merging these two things together in this film. And it is incredible. Eric Fleming stars in this film as Preacher Dan. He's your main hero fighting against the vampire. And he's always been a really fine actor. And after this film, he ended up working alongside Clint Eastwood and Rawhide. Yep, so common theme with these 50s movies is, you know, somebody's connected to Clint Eastwood somehow. But Eric Fleming, just a few years after this film and Rawhide, in 1966, he was working on an episode of Off to See the Wizard, a short-lived Wizard of Oz anthology series. A two-part episode called High Jungle. And he was doing a scene in a canoe in Peru. And him and his leading lady fell off the canoe into the water in the river, and she was able to swim to land, but he unfortunately got caught in the current, was dragged underwater. They found him 3 days later. He drowned at the age of 41. So, a very tragic end to a very talented actor in Eric Fleming. And he is just phenomenal in this film as Pritchard Dan in this. Just like he was in a movie prior to this called Fright, which I might review on my channel later on down the road if you guys would like to see that. But Michael Pate plays our lead vampire in this thing, and his character's name is Drake Roby, and I've always liked Michael Pate as a character actor he's played in many other Western films, usually as generic bad guys and stuff, or he'd play in a Western where he's cast as a Native American Indian, which he wasn't a Native American Indian. In fact, he was an Australian actor. So they had an Australian playing Native American Indian on a lot of these TV shows. He had the right look, I guess. And they just threw the long black wig on him with the little headband, and hey, you're an Indian now, you know. But he was such a good character actor. Even playing those roles in some of those Westerns, he was really good. He was never the lead. He was never the star. But in this, he gets to show. For one time. I don't think there's any other times where he got as big a role as he gets in this. He is the main bad guy. And he's not a bad guy that you really hate. He's not a overly villainous character. He's someone that you could actually kind of feel for. Michael Pate plays him with a lot of layers. So, I mean, he is great in this role, in this. Kathleen Crowley plays Dolores Carter, who is romantically involved with Pritchard Dan. She's the romantic interest to our lead, Eric Fleming, as Pritchard Dan. And even after Drake ends up killing her father, John Hoyt's character of Dr. Carter, she is entranced by Drake. So she doesn't believe when Pritchard Dan is trying to tell her that this guy is evil. He's a vampire. He needs to be destroyed. Even after a shootout with Bruce Gordon's character of Buffer, in which Michael Pate gets shot. And he kills Buffer. Still. That is the great thing about a vampire in a Western. I mean, a gunfighter, of all things. A vampire as a gunfighter. He'd be undefeated. There is no way he gets defeated unless he's facing Pritchard Dan. I mean, anyone else, they're going in there with a regular gun, thinking they're in just a regular gunfight. He doesn't even have to be the fastest draw. And Drake isn't the fastest draw. Buffer outdraws him and shoots him in the chest. Doesn't kill him. He's dead. He's a freaking vampire. So, bullet goes through him, and then he's still able to shoot Buffer and kill him. But then he goes back to Dolores, Drake does, and he does this little lie where he says that must have been his cigar case that the bullet hit that and it saved him. Bullshit lie. But she buys it because she's basically under his control at this point. So, yeah, in the end, it does come down to the Eric Fleming outsmarting Michael Pate's Drake by taking this thorn crucifix and putting it on the end of one of his bullets and putting it in his gun. And when they get in their final shootout, that kills him. So it's pretty cool because, you know, you basically put a cross on the end of a regular bullet, and when it's fired at Drake in the final confrontation between Preacher Dan and Drake Roby, it, you know, that's the end. But this is a great freaking film. One of the best films of the 50s, other than the Creature from the Black Lagoon, of course, and Tarantula. These three films, those three films are the highlights of the 50s. So I will give Curse of the Undead, 1959. I will give this film a 9.5 out of 10. This film also holds a sentimental moment in my heart because this was one of my father's favorite Universal monster movies. He loved westerns, and he loved vampire movies, and he just loved this combination of them. And it's because of his love for this movie that I ended up learning about it and everything. So it has a special place in my heart because it was one of my dad's favorites. So that's reviews for you, Dad. So what did you think of Curse of the Undead? Do you agree with my review? Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of it? And, as usual, if you like this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, because it really does help the channel out a lot. But now it's time to move on. This was the last of my Universal Monsters reviews from the 50s. So we'll be moving on to some other things that I have planned. If you're looking at my the voting things, you pretty much know what could be coming. So keep an eye on that, and I hope you will stick around for all of those videos as well. And I hope you've enjoyed everything that I've been doing lately with these Universal things, and I hope you'll continue to stick around with us through some more Hammer reviews, and some more of the newer movie reviews. So, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.